Hi, folks. This is the psychology of human relationships, and we're talking about nonverbal communication. This is part two, and we're talking about eyes and where we look and where we don't look and those sorts of things. When people avoid eye contact, it is often the result of anxiety. Raising one eyebrow is either disbelief or it could be curiosity. Raising two could be surprise, more often than not, but it could also be part of an angry face. Could be both. Um, let's talk about faces. What about facial expressions? Well, I want you to know a few things. One is that Paul Ekman, who is a psychologist, who in the 60s took photographs of various facial expressions of other cultures and brought them into cultures that had never seen other people of any other ethnicity or background or country of origin, asked them to make a face of that kind of emotion by telling them what the emotion is, and then comparing. And what he found out very quickly was that they made the same faces for the same emotions, and that was pretty universal. I mean, it was known before he did that work, but he verified that. He also worked on the musculature of the face, and through his work, it was decided that we can actually make about 10,000 different facial expressions. But in terms of knowing what those are, one different from the next, we only can see about 50, and we only need about 20 to really do a good job at deciphering internal emotion and what is meant by the face that they offer. Okay, so let's talk about this. I suggest that at this point you open up your PowerPoint and that you open it to slide number 24 and follow along with the photographs. Otherwise, this doesn't have as much meaning for you, but I will do my best. I will emulate the faces as best I can. Now, interpreting faces, okay, is something that's conditioned. There may be some innate ability to do that, but expressing them is very automatic. Okay, very automatic. We have a very, very flexible face among all animals, including other higher primates. And our skin is very thin, and we can see the musculature, except for those people who have beards, particularly full ones. The human mouth is smaller. The jaw is smaller than other animals, and certainly more flexible. It aids in our ability to utter words, one different from another. You may know that humans and dogs, as well as other animals, we do know dogs though for sure, read our faces very, very well. There's some research coming out of England about that, and I have a couple of videos that I believe are hyperlinked to that effect that you may want to look at. One of those is about Paul Ekman, the other is about dog faces and what they look at. One thing that's noted is that they often, if not almost all the time, most of the time I would say, not just often, they look at the left side of the person's face, okay? The left side. That means from where they're sitting, so they're looking at the right side of the human's face. And there appears to be the same in humans when we look at each other's faces. There may be some small differences between the left and the right in terms of where the muscles are innervated, okay, with the cranial nerves that are picked up more quickly and therefore first looked at on average by both humans and dogs. It explains a lot about how dogs read our emotions, doesn't it? Okay, so let me go through a few emotions. Happiness is like this. Okay, so one of the things you will see is there may be a squinting, and then in people who have less amounts of collagen that offer tightness beneath the skin. So older people have little crow's feet right here. You will also see a puffing of the cheeks up, and you'll see the mouth turning up on average. You'll also see a body relaxation. Okay? Now, I want to tell you that most smiles are not true. Most smiles are fake. Okay? And what do you need to do to fake a smile? It's very easy. First of all, it's not automatic, so it's not going through the system of automatic nerves. It's going through your desire to move those muscles. Now, I gave you a pretty good fake one, but a fake one for sure is the mouth goes east and west, not up. It goes east and west. And the eyes generally don't go squinting. I squint a lot anyway, so it's easy for me to fake one, but okay. And that there's not much in the way of crow's feet. And here's the big thing. When somebody is genuinely smiling, their body relaxes. When they're laughing, people just relax. When people are faking a smile, they remain rigid from the neck down. Did you like that gift I gave you? Yes. Nothing below the neck moves, which you can't see, but that's true. Okay, next would be disgust. Now, disgust is an emotion said to be one by Ekman, but I and others think that this is actually a way to avoid becoming contaminated with viruses and bacteria. It's a directly survival facial expression, whether you call it emotion or not is beside the point. And it's one of two types. It's either a closed off, turn away variety, like this. So a disgust could be tightness of the lips, turning away, the nose tightens, and you get these furrows when you do that. See it? These furrows, that's very characteristic. Eyes will close. And the only opening at that point to direct getting plumes off of a decaying corpse or something would be ears maybe, but there's some ways that the ears protect us from that. But you see, that would keep us away. It would register that what we're experiencing is noxious, either by sight or smell. The other variety of disgust is what I call an expectorating disgust, and that's, and some people will do this, which I interpret as moving the air away, moving the viruses or bacteria away from the face. Okay? And that can be a response of tasting something or smelling something or seeing something that's noxious. Okay? So that's disgust. And then we have sadness. Now, sadness doesn't always have downturned sides on the mouth, but it often does. Maybe a lip that comes out, particularly in children. Okay, and there's a fatigue in the face. You see it? Fatigue. Sometimes there's what I call a dissociative gaze when someone is deep in despair or grief. I have previously called it a grief gaze. They'll look as if they're kind of stone-faced, not much expression, maybe some droopiness, but what they're looking at is not focused on anything. It's focused between and among everything. It's not focused on something. So let me try to give you this, okay? I'll do it here. Okay, it's the best I can do anyway. It's hard to see maybe. Okay, so then we have something called anger. And anger has a couple different forms. One thing that you'll see is a little line that starts right here, goes right across the bridge of the nose. It's almost invariant. There are a couple different places the eyebrows can go up or down, but generally it's a knitting right here, like this. You see it? See the knitting? Vertical lines. When you do that, you don't get the concave downward wrinkles on the forehead. But if you have this version, you get those. You don't get the knitting here, the vertical. You get the concave down folds there. Okay. So one other than that, what you get is you see that line there. Okay, it's right there. The other thing you can do is a snarl. where you're showing the teeth, or it could be a pursed lip variety. Okay? So the other thing would be the redness in the face, and maybe the neck too. Okay? Okay, then we got two that may seem similar. Surprise, yeah, and fear/anxiety. Surprise is another one that Ekman thought was a separate emotion. I think it's a kind of anxiety, but let's just not worry too much about that. Emery, in your text, says that the four basic emotions are happiness, sadness, anger, and anxiety. I wrote about that in '93. I said that for ego purposes. But anyway, it doesn't matter what ones you say are the basic emotions, are they? Okay, so fear is an east-west opening of the mouth or slit, okay? And intensity in the eyes. Sometimes it's up, okay? But a surprise is a lowering of the jaw until you get a north-south opening in the mouth, okay? Like this. Okay, that's surprise. Okay? All right. Now I can see. So think about this. When you are conveying an emotion and try to hide it, there will still be some micro portions of the face as it moves into that emotional response. And if you're good at this, you can spot that, despite the fact that the person is controlling. A great actor is partly great because of the degree to which that they can control their nonverbal language. Yes? Now, I have a whole bunch of photographs on your PowerPoint. There are 250 slides on this PowerPoint, which means that if you go through this, you will get a good library of various ways that each of these different emotions appears on the face, and some aspects of otherwise. Now, I want to talk about one more, and that's embarrassment. So embarrassment is also, I believe, a form of anxiety, and it's anxiety that you get when you have something revealed in public that you believed to be private, wanted to keep private, okay? So you get exposed about some fact or some issue that just embarrasses you. It doesn't make you mad. It's something that embarrasses you. I think it's pretty obvious, is it not, that that's a form of anxiety. So what happens is the neck and the face turns red, okay, and you turn away from where it's being divulged, whoever that is. You cover your face, usually with a hand, sometimes with two, but usually one. And you get a very big fake smile, okay, and close your eyes. So it's like this. Like that, okay? All right. Very, very obvious. And in fact, chimpanzees have been known to do this same face of embarrassment. Now, embarrassment would seem to be the result of, at least to some degree, having self-awareness. And if chimpanzees do this automatically, that's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, so now let's talk for a minute about distance, okay? And in terms of distance, let's talk about first the 18 inches out from you, from your skin. That's sometimes called the intimate zone or the intimate distance. This is where you only allow people in that you've allowed in before, that you feel safe with. So this is the zone into which people may come that you don't feel anxious about, okay? So if someone gets rigid when someone comes in to that zone or tries to hug you and you're not comfortable with that, then for sure that's a giveaway, because they'll tense up if they don't say anything. Out from that is about 18 inches to about 4 feet. 4 feet is where you carry on most conversations that are in public, and that's where you shake hands from. And so halfway in between is 2 feet. And that's where people will reach comfortably to shake hands. Okay. Then social distance, that's 4 to 8 feet. That's where you probably talk to people 4, 5, 6, 7, even 8 that you don't know, if there's room in that situation to occupy that distance. And then the public distance is 8 to 10 feet. That's where you'd like to keep people away who you didn't know if you had the room and didn't want to talk to them. You'd want them 8 to 10 feet away. If you go into a classroom on the first day before anybody arrives, you're going to be able to predict pretty easily where people sit and sit next, because they'll go furthest away to closest as the room begins to fill. It's very, very typical to be able to pick and predict where someone's going to sit with great accuracy. Okay? The same goes for human touch and who we allow to touch us and where they may touch us, such that it doesn't cause us anxiety. So partners can basically touch us anywhere except for any situation. They can touch us anywhere except torso and genitals and rear end in public. Can't do that on average, although someone could touch the upper part of the shoulder or something, but down below the chest level to the genitals, no. Same, and lower and rear end, no, you can't. But the less related you are to someone, all the way out to strangers, the greater the part of your body expands to include areas that are not okay to touch. So a stranger may be able to shake your hand if you want them to, maybe even be able to touch this part of your arm, maybe touch your shoulder with a pat. I don't know. That's even a little bit invasive in some situations, but that's it. That's it. So from partner to friend to mother to father to sister to brother, uncle, cousin, and so on, the zones that you can't go into physically by touching another person get bigger and bigger and bigger. Watch for that. You'll see. Now, let me go to the next video, part 3.